And welcome back, Nats fans, to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm your host, District on Deck co-editor Ricky Keeler, and the last day of August, so tomorrow will be September, and before you know it, we're 1 month away from the postseason. The Nats lose tonight to the Brewers 6-3, snapping their four-game winning streak, excuse me. Now they have a losing streak. But this was a tough one for Gio Gonzalez tonight. Probably one of his worst starts in a long time. It just really never got in a rhythm in this game, and the Brewers are a good team. They play aggressive on the bases. They hit for power. They played great defense in terms of alignment of their fielders. They're not a good team in terms of errors, but when they're in the right position to make plays, they made the plays tonight. And all in all, just not a great game by the Nats. Trey Turner, though, had an excellent game. We'll talk a lot about that coming up throughout the night. We'll also talk about expanded rosters. That's right. Tomorrow is the day where the teams can go to 40 players on their roster. Of course, not everybody's going to have 40 players. The Nats are expected to call up 2 players tomorrow. We'll tell you about it coming up. But we want to hear from you tonight on the DoDcast, so feel free to send us a question here on the chat room on the YouTube page. You can also tweet me on Twitter at DistrictOnDeck or tweet my personal account at Rickinator555. So let's get into some totals, and then we'll dive into the specifics. The Nationals get 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. The Brewers, 6 runs, 13 hits, no errors. Gio Gonzalez takes the loss, 6 innings, 5 runs, 8 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 115 pitches, just 65 strikes. He drops at 13-6. Kyle Davies picks up his Major League leading 16th win. That's right, Kyle Davies leads the National League in wins. You can look at wins as a meaningless stat, but that's still pretty good. 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 96 pitches, 62 strikes. And Corey Knebel picks up his 31st save of the season. And the reason I kind of like what the Nats did in terms of getting Knebel in the game tonight. He did pitch yesterday. So that's going to be 3. If Knebel pitches tomorrow, it would be 3 straight days he would come in. So if Milwaukee's in a close game tomorrow, does Corey Knebel pitch? So at least the Nats, I think, you got to sometimes lose the battle to win the war. And that's why Grace getting Perez to ground out in the 8th with bases loaded, I think could help out in the long run in this series. So not a bad thing overall, but a rough night for the Nats as a team. Can we talk about the Dodgers getting swept? That's what Seth says. We'll get into that. We're going to go around the league, and we'll talk about that. Dodgers finally looking human, which is a good thing. Don't think the Nats will catch them, though, for the 1 seed. But looking at this game as a whole, the Nats had their chances. Not many. I think you got to give Zach Davies a lot of credit. He's one of those pitchers that you saw last month, and he's able to get ground balls. He doesn't strike out many hitters, but doesn't get a lot of hard hit contact. And the Nats started to do that as the game went on, but by then it was too late. Like we talked about, the Brewers did a nice job using different shifts. They got a 6-5 3-double play on Matt Wieters. Adam Lynn hit some balls up the middle that were fielded cleanly. I think Murphy hit one into the shift. So many things, I think, happened the wrong way for the Nats offense. It wasn't if the Nats didn't hit the ball. Sometimes it just goes right to defenders. Nothing really you can do about it. So right out of the gate, Gio gives up a first-inning run, and you can make the case it's not really his fault because he gives a double to Perez, who had a great game out of the 2 spot. Then Perez takes third in a pitch in the dirt, and then Ryan Braun hits a pop-up. Daniel Murphy makes a good play on it and throws home, but because of the errant hop it takes, Wieters can't make the play, and then Perez is able to score. That's one where you'd like to see Wieters, I think, settle it down. He had time to catch the ball and get the out. It wasn't if he had to make it all in one motion. It's not something I would kill Matt Wieters for, but I feel like you got to make that play. It's not going to go as an error in the book, but one of those things you expect Wieters to make did not happen. Nats did answer back in the 3rd, and all the credit goes to Trey Turner here. Michael Taylor gets a leadoff base hit. Gio gets him over with the bunt. And then Turner gets a base hit up the middle. But because he's got that great speed, gets a double out of it. He steals 3rd. Jason Worth hits a ground out to give the Nats a 2-1 lead. And that's what having Trey Turner back does. I talked about it on my storylines to watch earlier this week for this series. Getting Turner back means all Jason Worth or whoever hits second has to do is hit the ball to the right side and they score a run. I mean, that's the easiness that this team can score. You don't have to worry about hitting kabooms or extra base hits or getting it all back in one swing. You just have to get it back one run at a time, and Trey is able to do that. Turner, I think, had by far the best night of any Nationals hitter, 3 for 4. He had the triple off the wall on the right in the 8th inning. He was a home run shy of the cycle. Didn't get a chance to get his second cycle of the season. But he's now up to 33 RBIs, 15 doubles, and 5 triples. So a good year for Trey Turner now that he's back, and I think he'll make a huge impact down the stretch, obviously. And even Jason Worth, he went 0 for 4, but he got both runs in that he had a chance to drive in, and that's important. I mean, you're looking at Worth likely hitting second going forward. He's played a good right field. Remember, Bryce Harper's not back by the postseason. Jason Worth starting right fielder in the NLDS, which I know might anger some fans, but Worth, I think, actually has done a nice job when he's in the lineup, considering where he's at in his career. I think he's exceeding some expectations a little bit. Michael Taylor had a good 2-hit game as well, but really, other than that, not much doing from the offense tonight. Zimmerman 1 for 4. Rendon went 1 for 3 with a walk. He had a good game. But Murphy had a couple of strikeouts. Zimmerman had a couple of strikeouts, including Murphy and Zimmerman both striking out against Swarzak late in the game. And then you get to the 3rd inning for Milwaukee, and I think FP Santangelo made a good point on the telecast. Gio didn't look in a rhythm all night, and you could tell it kind of got to him in that 3rd inning. Only had like 1-1-2-3 in the whole game. Zach Davies leads off with a base hit. You can't give up a hit to the 9th hitter. Then VR reaches on a bunt base hit. It looks like he gets out of it, gets Perez to strike out, gets Braun to ground out. They can't turn 2. But he walks Santana on 5 pitches, then gets behind Aguilar 2-0, and it backfires. Aguilar hits a 2-run single to left. Milwaukee takes the lead. It might have been worse, but because the replay official didn't have a good angle and the Daniel Murphy missed tag at second, the Nats got out of that inning. And then Milwaukee strikes back a couple innings later when Davies leads off with a walk. You can't walk the pitcher. I mean, you hate getting on Gio for that, but you can't walk the pitcher. And then VR crushes a 2-run shot, leads to being a 5-2 game. And I think the one thing that would be concerning from Gio's point of view was he was kind of grimacing in the 6th inning. The trainer came out, and I think at some point you have to look at that situation. You saw Steven Strasburg last week with the cramps. Get these pitchers out of the game. What is Gio Gonzalez doing throwing 115 pitches when you have a fresh bullpen that didn't throw yesterday? You've got expanded bullpen coming tomorrow. Why is Gio still in the game? You need him in October. It just doesn't make any sense why Baker would, when these guys have, we don't know what it is. I'm sure Dusty will tell us, hopefully, as we figure out throughout this DoDcast. But if Gio's grimacing at all, you've got to get him out of the game. You have to. There's no reason he should have threw 115 pitches tonight. He wasn't his ace. He didn't have his ace stuff. He lost for the first time in about a month. Had a 5-game winning streak for him. That's over with. He gave up more than 4 runs for the first time, more than 3 runs in the game for the first time since July 19th. I mean, sometimes it's just not your night. And it's not like you were asking the bullpen to throw 5 innings. It was the bottom of the 6th. They only have to get about 8 outs. To me, it just baffles me sometimes that Dusty leaves these guys in. And I think it's hopefully as the month now goes to September and the Nats start to get ready for the postseason, they decide to not go to that 6-man rotation for now. But I think you got to do it at some point early this month. Get these guys a rest. Use Eric Fetty. Use A.J. Cole. Because the postseason is more important. And these guys have thrown so many pitches this year. Dusty asked them routinely to go 105, 110, 115 pitches on some occasions. And you have to wonder how that's going to hold up. I know Baker has a track record of throwing pitchers way too long and kind of showing that this year because the Nats have a better bullpen now. They don't need to keep doing this. So that's, I think, where it can kind of backfire. Sean Kelly did throw a scoreless 7th inning, so that's good progress for him. And Matt Grace, rough night for him. 4 hits, 1 run. Kind of got saved by a couple good defensive plays. One by Jason Worth in right field on a running catch, and then Zimmerman kept Murphy's throw from getting away and allowing another run to score. So could have been worse for Matt Grace, who, let's be honest, has not looked well since that start in San Diego. Maybe the innings starting to get to him a little bit. But again, now that the roster's expanded, you can kind of ease off some of these guys and give guys rest when needed. I think that's really important, especially with a 15-game lead, which the Nats got some good news tonight. The Marlins did lose to Philadelphia. So the magic number to clinch the East is 15. That's a bad loss for Miami in the wild card race. They're starting to fade pretty quickly. Let's take a look at the chat. No, Seth is here. Let's see what Seth said. Yep, the Nats were one of those teams I saw that were connected to seeing Shohei Ohtani, the Japanese pitcher. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Seth says, okay, Rick, I agree with you on the catch situation. Starting to make me mad. Wieters cannot hit at all. It's been a rough year for Wieters, definitely. He for some reason he finds you look at his runners and scoring position numbers, they're actually really good. But really, besides that, he's not been good this year. I think he's done a better job throwing guys out of late. Didn't throw out Perez at third in the first inning, which led to the run. But that was a tough play anyway. Rendon had to kind of got the tag up and had to get it down quicker. Just did not work for him. I think the Nats will have him back next year. I think he will opt into that contract. I think he's just having a bad year. And look, the point is you're not going to rely on Matt Wieters to be the hero in October. The Nats have so many other players that they'll need to be superstars that I don't think Matt Wieters will make that big of an impact on how far this team goes. But it's just been a rough season for him, no question about it. And it's been a rough season for Zach. Zach Davies did beat the Nats last month, and he's been really good. You look at the second half numbers for Davies, and he's been a quality pitcher. I mean, I don't know if he'll get a lot of Cy Young votes, especially when you look at Scherzer and Kershaw and Gio and Alex Wood. But Davies has got to be up there. I mean, just by sheer wins and just the ability to get the hit, force the opposition to hit the ball on the ground. I think his ground ball percentage coming in was about 48%. So the Nats really didn't hit a fly ball like the fifth inning in this game. So I thought Davies was excellent in that regard. Hey, what's up, Al? I'm sure Al's not too happy tonight because we'll get to that. Yeah, Drew mentioned the play at the plate too. Wieters wasn't strong either. So let's look around the league. One game in progress. Cardinals lead the Giants 2-0. That game in the fourth. I think Jack Flaherty's making his major league debut for the Cardinals. They traded Mike Leake away, so Flaherty's going to get the spotlight, one of their top young prospects. Something to keep an eye on there. Other scores in action. The Cubs beat the Braves 6-2, so Milwaukee stays 3.5 back in the Central. They do gain a game on Colorado in the wild cards, and now it's 2.5. As the Rockies start to slip a little bit, they had the night off. Big series for Colorado, by the way, this weekend. They are hosting Arizona at Coors Field. And Arizona's won 7 in a row. So that's a huge series for the Rockies. They need to win that series because Milwaukee's probably the last team that has a shot at the wild card because I think the Marlins are starting to fade. St. Louis is starting to fade. It's really come down to 3 teams for 2 spots in the National League. But you got to give Arizona the credit, like Seth said. You have to talk about it. The Dodgers have struggled. Diamondbacks went in there. They swept the Dodgers, an 8-1 win today. Zach Greinke picked up his 16th win. He's 16-6 now with a 3.08 ERA. Paul Goldschmidt now up to 109 RBIs, boosting his MVP candidacy. A.J. Pollock did have a home run, so a good game for the Cardinals. Baltimore, a tough loss, 11-8 over the Blue Jays. Twins get a walk-off hit by pitch to beat the White Sox. Yeah, the Twins we got to start talking about here. They're playing some great baseball. Paul Molitor's doing a nice job in his 3rd year, and they're not going away. I mean, it was kind of surprising. They traded away their closer, and they're still in the mix. So give a lot of credit to Minnesota. Houston won today 5-1 over Texas. Their last game at Minute Maid Park, Tropicana Field. They're going to Minute Maid Park on Saturday for a doubleheader against the Mets. They're back in Houston again. Our thoughts and prayers with everybody involved, all the victims of Hurricane Harvey and the first responders, and everybody doing all they can to get Houston somewhat back to normal. It's when you look at those images, it's scary what happened over there, and hopefully those people are getting all the help that they can need and any donations everybody's making. Especially, I heard about the Anthony Rendon and Matt Albers fund that they started to help the victims, and that's a great job by them. J.J. Watts raised a ton of money, so hopefully those people can get back to normal as soon as possible. And again, just all the thoughts and prayers go to the people in Houston. Hopefully they'll have some fun Saturday at a baseball game sort of take their mind off of things. Of course, we have the District on Deck Bowl, and the Yankees didn't make it easy, but they won 6-2 over the Red Sox. Huge game for the Yankees. They looked terrible against Cleveland. So they're now 4.5 back in the East, but the wild card kind of more important for them at this point. Gary Sanchez, a home run, his 28th of the year. Greg Bird drove in 3, and CeCe got a win, goes to 11-5. So the Yankees get a good win over the Red Sox. Drew said, I think if they got anything, it'd be a catcher. Wieters and Lobaton are both having worse seasons of their career. Kurt Suzuki is a probable target, but not sure Atlanta want to help the Nats. Yeah, I think that's true, Drew. I think when you look at, we got about 40 minutes to go to the waiver deadline. I don't think the Braves are in any position to help the Nationals. I kind of like what they did to get rid of Phillips because it at least allows them to play guys like Camargo and Ruiz, and they're looking for that youth movement. I'd love to see them play Ronald Acuna in September, who's arguably the top prospect in the game. He's had a fantastic year across the minor leagues. I just don't see where Kurt Suzuki is going to come here, and I don't think he's getting moved in the next few hours. Al asked if Ron and I have a friendly bet on Yankees Red Sox. No, we do not. We just call it I call it the District on Deck Bowl. Ron, I know, does it when he does his shows. But we just have good fun with it. I think we would kind of like firsthand if the Nats were in the playoffs and the Red Sox are playing the Yankees in the playoffs. I think both of us would have a lot of fun with that. But I can admit Al and Red Sox are better this year. I mean, even if the Yankees do well in this series, I think Boston's the better team. They've showed it all year. The Yankees hopefully judge fine to the end because they need them to big time. But we don't have a bet in this series at all. And yes, that got to keep an eye on what's going on with Irma. That's bad news as well. So let's get into some news. And, of course, expanded roster tomorrow. That's the exciting thing. And the two big names that are coming up tomorrow, remember, not everybody comes up at once. So you're not going to get 15 names coming up. Remember, Syracuse's season ends on Monday. So those guys are likely going to finish the season with the Chiefs and then come up for the final month of the year. Dusty said earlier today the two names are coming up are Enny Romero and Austin Adams. Enny Romero, of course, has been on the DL. He's been pitching rehab games for about a couple of weeks. So he gets to come back up and add another hard-throwing lefty into the bullpen. But keep an eye on the Austin Adams promotion. Remember, Adams had that rough debut in Cincinnati where he didn't get an out and walked a couple guys, hit a batter. But he has been fantastic in the second half for Syracuse. Take a look at these numbers. In the month of August, which is about 10 games, 25 strikeouts to 4 walks. So you talk about a guy that has struggled with the command all year. He has about 14 strikeouts per 9 innings in the minor leagues. So if Adams maybe gets some of the nerves out, I think he can contribute. Now, he won't make the playoff roster by any means, but if Adams has a good September, that could put him in position to maybe make the Major League bullpen next year or have a shot in spring training to make the team. So just because a guy doesn't make the playoff roster doesn't mean he can't make a good impression. I think Adams is in position to do that. I would love to see Syracuse call up Wander Suero, who's had a fantastic year. We'll get to him in a second. He pitched tonight against Lehigh Valley. Names you might see later on, Dusty said, include Rafael Bautista, Andrew Stevenson, Adrian Sanchez, Pedro Severino. I'm sure you'll see Eric Fetty again. So a lot of the depth that helped the Nats get through all those injuries will be coming back, and they're going to help spell guys like Rendon and Murphy and Zimmerman and Worth to give them days off, to give Trey Turner days off. I mean, that's really important is you get these guys fresh and ready to go in the postseason. So to have that depth, I think, is important. Some people hate the 40-man roster idea. I'm okay with it. I do kind of agree maybe you should set your 25 guys before the game. I think that would be better. But I love the fact that top prospects and guys that have worked hard all season in the minor leagues and get rewarded for having a great year. I mean, some guys that we haven't seen all season, I look at the Marlins. They're calling up their prospect from AA, Dylan Peters, to make his Major League debut tomorrow night. I mean, that guy's going to get a chance to help the team and get some Major League experience. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind as well, is that September is a huge part of the year. But if you're out of it, get some guys some Major League experience. So I think all in all, it helps out both sides. I don't know what all of you out there think about the expanded rosters, but I love it. I think it works out fine. Drew's saying that not sure how reliable, but Chris McCoskey reporting the Tigers Nationals are very close to finalizing the deal for Verlander. He also says Verlander's approval is believed to be final hurdle. Well, they've got about 37 minutes to try to figure that out. I don't think he'll go. I just think the money is too big and Houston doesn't want to give up the prospects, but we'll monitor that, of course, throughout the night. I think that if Verlander went to Houston and you put him with Keuchel and McCullers, that puts him, I think, right back as being the favorite in the American League. And Drew also mentioned that Gio said after the game he landed awkwardly on a pitch. So that's a huge sigh of relief that it's nothing serious. But again, I stand by he should not have thrown 115 pitches in this game. Also, the Nats bring up some more pitching help so they can match up lefty-righty. I don't know, Al, if they're looking to do that. I think they're more so looking to get more arms. I mean, Baker uses, as we saw last year, he'll use 6-7 pitchers a game when the rosters expand. So maybe he uses different guys in different situations, kind of get a feel of things. Maybe he throws Enny Romero against a righty to kind of test things out for the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of experimenting that can go on. And you're also just looking to get guys some experience as well. So I think there's a different way you manage with 40 players or 30 players, however many players you use. But I don't think he's going to look to call up guys for certain matchups. I think he's going to look to call up guys and use them when he can. Especially with the Nats having as big a lead as they do, I don't think that's going to be the goal that they look at. But I do like your thinking on that as well. The Sets, I've actually met Justin Verlander multiple times. Good conversation with him. Good guy. He's definitely sounds like a good guy, and he's been great. I mean, even as he gets older, his stats continue to be one of the better guys in the American League. So if he does end up moving tonight, I mean, it'd be a good thing for him. If not, I'm sure my gut tells me he's getting dealt in the winter. So either way, I don't see Verlander in a Tiger uniform next year. I think Mark Berman, also the sports director at Fox 26, also just said they're virtual landing Verlander. So we'll keep an eye on it, but I'm just scrolling Twitter one more time just to make sure. Nothing yet. All right, so let's take a look. Yep. John Morosi said, too, Tigers getting closer to trading Verlander. The Astros are the team. So through all that, Verlander could be finally heading to a different team. Let's take a look at the minors real quick while we keep monitoring this Justin Verlander stuff. Syracuse lost to Lehigh Valley 5-1 tonight. Jaron Long took the loss, 5 2/3, 5 runs, 7 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. Wander Suero, though, I want to talk about a one hit inning in the 9th and struck out 2. His ERA down to 1.79. So he's been great this year. The only RBI for Syracuse coming from Andrew Stevenson. He went 1 for 4, a couple hits for Neftali Soto. I'm seeing Ken Rosenthal tweet from Chris McCoskey saying he's been told that Verlander deal is off. Apparently he didn't waive the no trade clause. So it doesn't look like Verlander's going to Houston after all. Harrisburg took on Akron tonight, and the Rubber Ducks beat the Senators 6-5. Yadiel Hernandez, his 12th home run of the season, a solo shot in second. Victor Robles went 1 for 5, extends his streak to 17 games. Also had a stolen base. Greg Ross took the loss, but he had a good outing. 7 innings, 3 earned runs, 6 hits, struck out 9, and walked 1. So a tough loss for Ross and the Senators. Remember, everybody but Auburn ends on Monday. Potomac lost to Lynchburg 5-1. Only 5 hits for the Peanuts. Lone RBI coming from Jack Sundberg, his 28th of the season. Sterling Sharp got the start, gave up 1 run, struck out 7 over 5 innings, but it's R.C. Orlon who gets the loss in relief. 2 innings, 1 run, 2 hits. He struck out 2 and walked 1. Hagerstown got the win over Delmarva 9-6. Tres Barrero had 3 hits, including a home run. Nick Banks went 3 for 4. Blake Perkins 3 for 4 with a home run, his 8th of the season. 5 RBIs for Barrera, and 2 for Banks and 2 for Perkins. So 3 guys carrying the weight there. A.J. Bogucki got another win in relief. 3 1/3, 2 hits. He struck out 5. His 4th win of the year out of the bullpen. And Gabe Klobasich struck out 5 in 2 innings. So 14 Ks for 3 pitchers on Hagerstown tonight. Auburn took on West Virginia in the New York Penn League, and the Double Days lost 3-1 to the Black Bears. Lone RBI in this, well, no RBIs for Auburn, but a couple multi-hit games from Joshua Ramirez, Jonathan Pryor, and Armand Upshaw. Jeremy McKinney took the loss in relief. 3 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits. He struck out 3 and walked 3. Will Crow got the start, gave up 1 run on 1 hit, and struck out 4 over 3 innings. Crow, of course, a second-round pick out of South Carolina. So Romero, you saw last night, had good numbers against Williamsport, and Crow had a good game tonight against West Virginia. So both those pitchers ending their seasons on good notes. And can we stop? I saw it on Twitter all night tonight. Stop with the Seth Romero promotion. He's not coming up. Victor Robles is not coming up. Robles is going to the Fall League. That's a good enough challenge. I don't think there's any need to call up Victor Robles down the stretch or Seth Romero. Seth Romero's only thrown about 20 innings. I mean, anything, he'll go to Hagerstown next year, and he'll do that, or he'll go to Hagerstown at the end of the maybe for one more start. But I think besides that, you're not getting those impact prospects. They're coming up. The Nats are not going to rush any of those players. I've seen that a lot on Twitter, and I had to address it because I've seen it in so many places. I don't think they're calling them up. Finally, and a congratulations goes out to the GCL Nats. If you're watching on Mass, and they mentioned it. The GCL Nats are going to the postseason. They beat the Mets 7-5. They win their division. They'll be one of 4 teams in the GCL playoffs, and that starts next week. Juan Soto, who's on a rehab assignment, went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Kelvin Gutierrez was 1 for 4 with a couple run score as well. Both those guys on rehab assignments right now. Sean Adler got the win in relief, 1 in the 3rd innings, 1 strikeout to go to 3-0. GCL Nats are 34-20. They've won the GCL title twice before. Patrick Anderson won it in 2013, and Bob Henley won it in 2009. I've got an article on this coming out Saturday. I'm going to tell you guys about how some of the GCL Nats have been doing this year. Guys like Luis Garcia, Yasto Antuna, who were 2 of their top international prospects in the last signing period. They've done a great job this year. Antuna makes a lot of errors, but he's hitting over 300, so is Garcia. But GCL Nats, hopefully they'll bring home a title, and it'll get those guys some playoff experience. So congrats to Josh Johnson and that coaching staff. Let's take a look at the pitching matchup for tomorrow as the calendar flips to September. I'll be with you tomorrow as well, and Ron will be with you the final 2 games of this series. Tanner Roark gets start for the Nats. Roark 11-8 with a 4.63 ERA against Jimmy Nelson for the Brewers. Nelson is 10-6 with a 3.75, and Nelson's another one of those guys that likes to keep the ball on the ground. So the Nats can get something up in the zone that they can elevate. That would be important. Nelson hasn't lost since August 11th. He gave up just 2 runs on 4 hits and 6 2/3 and struck out 6 against the Dodgers last time out. He's given up 8 runs over his last 3 starts after giving up 9 against the Reds on August 11th. You look at Nelson's numbers at Miller Park this season. He's 5-4 with a 3.39 at home. And he did pitch well against the Nationals back in July. He gave up 2 runs, 4 hits, struck out 10 over 7 innings. But the Nats, that was the game they rallied in the 8th inning to win 8-5. So the Nats will have to hope for some better luck against Nelson this time around. Daniel Murphy is 3 for 9 with a home run against him with a couple RBIs. But besides that, not much else doing for the Nats. Michael Taylor has an RBI as well, but he's 1 for 5. As for Tanner Roark, I was doing the live tweeting on Sunday night against the Mets, and I thought for 5 innings he was as dominant as I've seen him this year. Fastball was working, breaking ball was working, changeup was working. And then everything broke down in the 6th. Reyes gets a hit, Lagares gets a hit, Nimmo hits a home run, and it turns into a quality start, but the line looks worse than the outing was for Roark. So I think in the end, he did get the win. He has pitched better since the All-Star break. I think that's very important. He's going up against a tough Brewers lineup. Now, the ERA is a little high on the road. It's about 4.10, but it's about a run less than at home. And he is 7-2 on the road this year. So Roark has pitched better away from Nats Park. He's 5-2 since the break, and the opponent's batting average against of 197. Some of the numbers for the Brewers against Roark: Ryan Braun is 4 for 10 with a triple and an RBI. And Neil Walker 4 for 12 with a couple of doubles. Other than that, not much else doing for Milwaukee. So maybe Roark has some success here on the road. And I think if you're looking at the rest of this series, you got Max Scherzer going Saturday, you got Edwin Jackson Sunday. If you can get a split in Milwaukee, I think you're happy. The Brewers are playing with, of course, a lot of intensity for the postseason, trying to get that bid in the Central. I think if you're the Nats, I think you want to get that bid in the Central, to be honest. I think you match up better with Milwaukee than you do Chicago. Of course, the Cubs are playing Atlanta, so it's going to be tough for Milwaukee, I think, to gain games in general, but they don't want to lose any ground. But the Nats, this is really their last huge series. They do have the Dodgers in September, but I don't know how much those 2 teams will be playing for, unless the Nats are trying to wrap up the division then. I don't know really what those teams will play for then, other than maybe just a head-to-head psychological advantage if those teams met in the postseason. So this is really the last series where the teams are matching up with postseason intensity, because the Nats are playing division teams outside of the Dodgers for the rest of the season after this. And they do have Pittsburgh as well. So it's really Dodgers and Pirates, and that's about it on that side. So in the end, I think you have to look at the Nationals And if you take a split here, then you go to Miami. You can cut that lead a little bit more. I think you take it and you run with it. Let's take a look here. What else we got here? You know the Brandon Phillips treat. I don't think the DoDcast complete until Ricky plays CU in September. I'll think about that, Drew, but I think I might pass on that. You got Al talking about the Red Sox. Did see the John Heyman tweet that Seth Ross is referring to that Verlander would okay the Cubs, Dodgers with Astros iffy. Doesn't sound like Verlander wants to go to Houston. And Seth, actually, we'll talk about the Seth. Seth asked me, fact or fiction, do you think the Nats will land Verlander in the winter? I'm going to say no. I think they're going to have other needs. I think they're going to have to address. I would love for them to bring back Brandon Kinsler if they can do that. I just don't think they're going to take their top prospects and deal them for Verlander. Plus, I think if they're in competition with other teams, like the Cubs, like the Dodgers, for example, I don't think they have the prospects to deal like LA does, or what the Yankees have, or what other teams have right now in the minors. Their system has good elite talent like Robles and Fetty and Soto and Keyboom, but other than that, not much else there. I just don't think Verlander will be here when it's all said and done. And Seth makes a good point. We talk about the Red Sox and the Yankees, I'd be a little worried about the Angels right now. They're making excellent deals. They got Justin Upton today, who might opt out at the end of the year, but they get Upton maybe for a month. I think he'll help their offense drastically with Mike Trout. They add Brandon Phillips from the Braves just about an hour ago. They are looking like they're going to get Garrett Richards back as well in that rotation. So the Angels right now would be a team I would not want to play in a one-game playoff. Because you have to have a middle of the lineup with Trout, Upton, and Pujols. Not an easy middle of the lineup to go after. They did lose Cameron Maybin. They dealt him to Houston. Houston now is a Maybin and Altuve, two of the top stolen base leaders. But I like what the Angels did today. I love that they're going for it. They see the wild card's wide open. Baltimore definitely has an opportunity. I still don't count the Royals out because of their pedigree in the last couple of years. I mean, I think they're in for one more great run. Seattle still has a chance. There's a lot of teams still in that AL wildcard with a month to go, and I think that's going to be the most exciting aspect of this playoff race. Let me see if we got anything else over here. I think that, as I said, it's catcher. I think Wieters is coming back. I mean, he's got that $10.5 million option. I think that it's a player option. He's picking it up. He's not getting $10.5 million anywhere else. You have to hope Matt Wieters plays better next year, and I think there's a good chance at that. I don't think he'll ever repeat the career numbers he had with Baltimore, but I still think he could be a decent player. Remember, they still have Pedro Severino that could play some more next year as the backup. I think Jose Lobaton's done. Roddy Reed in the system has talent. So I think you maybe see more Pedro Severino next year, but Matt Wieters, I think, is still your starting catcher in 2018. That's just how I see it. Let's see what we got up on the site today. Of course, I had the 5 storylines for the Brewers. You can check that out. Brian Foley wrote an article on Gio Gonzalez. And is his success lucky or good? So you can read Brian's article there. Ron talks about surviving Bryce Harper's injury, and he's on the side that the Nats can get through a first round without Harper. Remember, Harper has now the calf strain and the bone bruise. He hasn't ran yet, and if he doesn't start running soon, you're probably not seeing Bryce Harper in the first round. Mike Rizzo's optimistic. I heard him, I think, on a radio station yesterday saying that you're still likely to see Bryce in the postseason. But if Harper is going to come back for that first round, they need him to get a week or two of games in. So the longer that he's out and the longer he doesn't start baseball activities, that's a bad sign. I still think that they can squeak by an LDS without Harper, but I do think they'll need him at some point. And that would be a bad idea to not have him at all. That would scare me. In a best of 5, you want everybody available. And if you don't have Harper for best of 5, that lessens your chances. It doesn't mean you won't win the NLDS. I just think it makes it tougher to win without him. Ron's got a slider going up tomorrow on September storylines. So what to watch for in the last month of the season. Ron will talk about that. And I'll be talking about Austin Adams and his second chance. And I'll dive into the numbers more and how good he's been for Syracuse in the second half and how he might, again, just even if he doesn't make the bullpen in the playoffs, he can help out next year as a potential bullpen candidate. So a lot of options for Adams. He can also be a trade candidate as well for a team that needs a bullpen arm next year. So there's a lot of ways that you can still succeed in September without making the postseason roster. Maybe Adams is one of those guys. So again, I'll be with you tomorrow for Roark against Nelson, and then Ron is with you Saturday and Sunday. So we'll see what happens in the next 20 minutes. We're not going to stay here for 20 minutes, of course, but 20 minutes until the waiver trade deadline's over, and then we can hit up in September and the 40-man roster. So follow me on Twitter at Rickinator555. Follow the site on Twitter at DistrictOnDeck. Again, it's districtondeck.com. Like us on Facebook. Also give this video a like and subscribe. We have every post-game show we do is on here. Every interview we do is on here. Every special show we do is on here. There's anything you could possibly find that we've done a DoDcast for, it's here. And when we get to the postseason, we'll have playoff shows as well. So we'll get those on there as well. We're hoping to do more interviews in September as well. So a lot of things you'll see on the DoDcast YouTube channel, but you have to go there to find it. If you missed any part of the post-game shows, there's the links. You can always go back and watch it again. If you want to relive a game or something like that, we have those there too. So again, I think a rough night for Gio Gonzalez, but every pitcher has a bad game. Not too concerned about it, especially now that it's not really a serious injury or any kind of injury that he had. But I still want to see him throw 115 pitches, and Trey Turner's back, and speed games are back. I love the speed games. You'll see me tweet that on Twitter. Let the speed games begin. Speed games are back, and I love when they're manufacturing runs and picking up runs in other ways. We love kabooms, but I think also small ball is extremely important. And you got to give credit to the Nats. And Trey Turner at least has shown no signs of rust since coming back, and that's a good thing. So again, we'll see you back. For all of us here at District on Deck, I'm Ricky Keeler saying hope you have a great rest of your night. And I'll see you back here tomorrow after the game for Tanner Roark against Jimmy Nelson, as September is finally here.